Hey guys, another Tengu Plant format video. Okay, so this time we have Worms on the left side and Agents on the right side. Naturally, I think Agents have a better matchup against Worms just because of Hyperion. The Hyperion is able to just pop face down monsters, whereas in Edison, there's very a few cards that can do that. So in this format, do have Scrap Dragon and we do have Hyperion to do that pretty consistently. We activate the Upstart Goblin going first. We summon the Venus here to see what happens. I paid the 500 life points. He activates the Veiler, so I don't get the Mystic Shine Balls, so I lose 500 life points. Alright, and I think I pass here because Agents is one of those decks that plays a lot of monsters. Opens up the fabled play, the textbook play in Worm, where you just send off the Jagen. The Jagen will be able to special summon itself face down from the graveyard. And this is the unstoppable combination where if he does have a Jagen out with the Worms X, it'll be unable to be destroyed by battle. I special summon the Tragodia after taking 200 damage. I try to bluff the Honest in the damage step so I can get him to use Book of Moon on the Venus. The Tragodia here can be able to attack over into the Jagen, forcing him to bounce back my card. So I summon the Earth, knowing that full well that if he does bounce back any of these two targets, I'll get another +1 off the normal summon. But I don't want the Jagen to resolve, so what I do is I attack Zex. And even if he does have Honest on the Zex, Honest is at 1 in this format, by the way. So if he does Honest, and he does, I can just bring out the Tragodia, the second Tragodia in my hand, because Tragodia is at 2 in this format. And then that second Tragodia can just attack over the Jagen, because the Honest does boost the Zex for the whole turn. So I attack over the Zex here. Hopefully it's not a Nebula right set. If it's not a Nebula right set, I do have the opportunity to clear the Jagen here. Looks like we read each other's cards. So he reads my Tragodia, I read his Jagen, and let's see what happens here. Okay, flips the Jagen, and then Jagen will bounce my Earth back to my hand, so that I get another normal summon. Jagen does get banished because it left the field. So now he has only a Zex on the board, and now he has to figure out a way to clear the Tragodia. I special summon the Hyperion by banishing the Venus from my hand and then banishing a Venus from my graveyard to pop another monster. He activates his second Veiler to stop the Hyperion, so now I have less cards in my hand. But my monster's still at 1800 attack, so which is really good. If he does attack with his Zex into my Tragodia, it would be even. Okay, he normal summons the Jagen here, and he attacks over my Tragodia. Oh, he crashes into the Tragodia because now he can't be destroyed by battle. Main phase 2, he does not make any Utopia, which is surprising to me. Maybe he doesn't because I can simply banish a fairy, but I don't have a fairy in the graveyard. Let's see what he chooses here. I would choose a tour guide here because it would stop the Leviair play. So I'm still not sure what that face down card is just yet. My Upstart Goblin could be able to see another tour guide if he does put it back, and he puts back the Hyperion. Okay, yeah, that's surprising. I didn't expect the Hyperion to come down here. Oh, I didn't expect Hyperion to be chosen here. Definitely would have chosen tour guide in that situation. Now tour guide can just simply just make the Venus play. Activate Upstart, give him another 1,000. Some of the tour guide here to make Sangan. I think the play here is to make the Sangan because if I get the tour guide out of the deck, I have less tour guides to draw into, and I want to resolve as many tour guides as possible, and that's going to be a maximum of 2. Whereas if I got the tour guide with the tour guide, then the second tour guide would have a lower probability of being drawn, so I make this play instead. Leviair, I use priority to special summon the Venus, and the Venus is going to activate its effect. If at any moment he wants a Nebular, he won't be able to use it pretty well because nothing can be flipped on his side. So yeah. I explained to him about priority, where I can use Venus effect as priority on the first ball summon because priority on ignition effect happens every time a monster is summoned. It doesn't have to be the monster that has the ignition effect that I have to use. I flipped the Hyperion to defense mode to play around the Mirror Force. In the event that he does Mirror Force, I do have Hyperion to use his effect to pop stuff. So I use the Venus attack over the Jagen here. And he would take, I think he would take 1,000 because of the Gachi Gachi. Activates Nebula, right? I think he misreads Nebular because Nebular is, during the end phase, he has to set all his cards. to bring out the Worm King. Now he loses this entire board. So yeah, definitely a misplay on him. I don't think he would have done certain plays, such as summoning the Jaegen the last turn, if he knew he had yet Nebular. He had Nebular since I had Tragodia. So because I had the Tragodia, he would have been able to bounce Tragodia back and then bring out Worm King, and it would have been a really different game because my Earth can't run over Jaegen or Zex. Yeah, that was definitely a mishap game. He definitely should have used the Nebular to bounce my Tragodia. Um, even when I had the first Tragodia. So I guess I could have attacked with Earth into a Zex, and then he would have been able to yeah, I guess he would have been able to I would have been able to bring out the Tragodia again because Tragodia is not once per turn. So I would attack the Earth into the Zex or the Jaegen. Yeah, I guess it depends on my attack order. I guess I attack with Trag first, and then the Trag. Uh, yeah. So sorry. So I guess it could have been a Tragodia attacking to the. I attacked the Zex, right? And then I brought out a second Tragodia, and then that second Tragodia swung into the Jaegen, and then the Jaegen. If he had activated Nebula on the Jaegen, then the Jaegen can bounce the Tragodia, but then I could have used Earth to attack into the Jaegen to special summon the Tragodia again. And then he would have still brought out the Worm King because the Tragodia, the third Tragodia coming down would have attacked over the Jaegen, and he would have been able to resolve Nebular, bound, set the Zex, and then special summon the Worm King. So that play would have been better than the play that he did before. So yeah, we're gonna go back to the beginning of this game. Okay, so he draws, he goes first, he opens up Duality, so he's gonna activate Duality here, revealing a Fossil Dyna, a Jaegen, and a Worm King. Gets the Fossil Dyna here, and then he summons the Jaegen, summons the Zex to dump the Jaegen. I respond with Herald of Orange Light to negate and destroy the Jaegen, or the Zex, so he doesn't have the combo. Just in case he has a Nebular. I don't really mind losing the plus, the fairy. Summon the tour guide here, he gets Veilered. She gets Veiled, I'm sorry. And then I set a back row. I Torrential the Fossil Dyna here so that I can special summon, as his deck does like to special summon a lot. I don't want to deal with the Worm back row, so I definitely deal with the Fossil Dyna. Plus, the tour guide already spent away his Veiler, and the Torrential will just be a 1-for-1 as opposed to a 2-for-1. I special summon the Chaos Sorcerer because I want to have a dark monster in my graveyard if he does get destroyed, so that I can special summon BLS. I top deck into another tour guide. He warnings here. I do have a BLS because I have a darker monster now, and he Solemn Judgments my BLS. All right, so now he's at 2 cards to my 0. I top deck into a Upstart. I activate it, and I summon yet another tour guide. Okay, very lucky with these tour guides. So the tour guide's gonna make it. So the tour guide is going to be able to bring out a Sangan. I attack him first to play it under the Solemn Warning. But I guess if he did have Solemn Warning, he would have warning my tour guide anyways. So yeah, I attack for 2,000 anyways, just in case it's a bottomless. I don't want to get my Levier to get bottomless, because I do plan on bringing that out to bring out the Agent of Mystery. The Agent of Mystery being going to the graveyard the following turn will be able to resolve my top deck Hyperion if I do have it. So I set up my board to do that. And in the event he doesn't bottoms my Levier, I can just use Levier again to get another +1. So Levier is really good in this format. I get the Earth out and I put in attack position. That's another back row. I draw into Mystery, I think. Yeah, and I search for Venus. I attack for game, he Book of Moons, and then he passes. Draws return here, and he passes. Okay, so yeah, that was the game for Agents versus Worms. Agents is a really powerful deck. I don't know if it's oppressive enough to make the game uh, pretty oppressive. I'm not sure if it is oppressive or not. I haven't seen much Tengu Plant tournaments, and plus, Tengu Plant's not as popular as as Edison or Goat, and so there's very few people coming up with good ideas, and the ones that are coming up with good ideas are very limited in number. So I always have this mentality that if retro formats have a lot of people playing it, then the innovation of the format becomes better. So as of now, for my judgment, Agents is a really good deck. And I think Karakuri is okay. It's just that it loses pretty hard a warning from testing it from the other night. And yeah, Worms it's an alright deck. It's a really good control deck if Nebular resolves because you're drawing a ton of cards. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the Tengu Plant format chill sesh just to see what it's like. Just a glimpse into this format as a retro format. Not a bad format, but I would prefer to still play Edison. But we'll see what happens in the future. Hopefully, Tengu Plants does grow as well. I just love having the option to play other formats just in case it ever becomes popular. Not because the cards will become more expensive, and I do have some Tengu Plant stuff, but because like having more formats is just better overall because it enables retro format players to have more of a expansive knowledge on play lines and stuff for each format. So yeah, I encourage everybody who's watching to play retro formats, other retro formats to see and broaden your horizons. All right, playtest IRL signing out. Peace.